Okay, so I am going to talk about meditation. And this is actually, I'll link the site at the end. Sorry if there's some background noise, like everyone is doing their schoolwork. So there's a lot of noise. So um, meditation is one of the number one ways to de-stress. And a lot of us think that we have to be in a yoga class or sit in a dark room. Actually, it's a kind of cool. I think it's the San Francisco airport. They actually have meditation rooms. You can go and meditate, which I think is kind of cool. But we undervalue or make fun of this practice, and we think of yogis and hippies and whatever. But this is actually like something that's super awesome that we might be doing on a regular basis, or we might not be doing. But here's some different ways to meditate. So my meditation actually happens when I run. I zone out. I'm able to kind of focus. I meditate before I go to bed. I meditate often when I pray. So a lot of us are in the practice of praying. So these are all different forms of meditation, but this one is a little bit different because we're focusing on our breath. And you can do this. I focus on my breath when I run. I focus on my breath when I'm riding in the car sometimes. It's something you got to try to incorporate on a frequent thing to really get good at. So it talks about breathing is just that it anchors you and makes you present in the moment. So if you find yourself caught up in thoughts, emotions, sounds, wherever your mind goes, simply come back to the next breath. Even if you only come back, that's okay. So it talks about breathing and how being aware of your breath can be helpful. And some people get kind of like, not panicky, but they just feel like this is weird because some people breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. It's like a square type breathing. And it takes a little while to get comfortable with. When I had panic attacks, they would tell me to breathe, and I always felt like I was like hallucinating. I was like, you guys are crazy. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm panicking. So it wasn't very helpful. But now that I have practiced it, it is super helpful. So set aside time. You don't need a cushion or bench, anything fancy, but just set aside some time and space. And for me, I cannot meditate very well with people. That's why I enjoy running alone, lifting alone. This is my meditation time. For some of you, you're going to find you're going to meditate better in other settings. Observe the present moment as it is. The aim of mindfulness is not quieting the mind or attempting to achieve a state of eternal calm. The goal is simply we're aiming to pay attention to the present moment without judgment. So this might be enjoying a sunset and sitting on your porch swing, or sitting in the sun on a cold winter day inside in a comfy chair with a blanket. I'm giving you lots of ways that you can incorporate this. Let your judgments roll by. So when we notice judgments arising like, oh, why can't I focus? Or I've got things to do, just let it pass. Recognize it was a thought, let it pass, go back to what you were focusing on, thinking about, breathing. Return to observing the present moment as it is. Our minds often get carried away in thought, and that's why mindfulness is the practice of returning again and again to the present moment. And then being kind to your wandering mind. Don't judge yourself or whatever thoughts crop up. Just practice recognizing what's in your mind and then bring what you want back. This is practice. It's often been said that it's very simple, but it's not necessarily easy. The work is just to keep doing it. Results will accrue. So for when I run, sometimes I will, like I said, be in prayer or thought about a specific people. Like I kind of open it up, like who needs me to think about them today or pray over them, or to different people will pop in my mind. I mean, it could be our friend's wife, or a sibling, or a niece, or a nephew, or the neighbor down the street, what their needs are. And so sometimes I'm just letting, or it's a beautiful day and how can I enjoy this day, and things like that. So it's however you want to do it. But the basics of mindfulness practice, it allows us to add some space between ourselves and our reactions, because we talked about how our thoughts create our feelings, which create our actions. So they want you to sit comfortably. This is one way to practice it. If you are not running, or if I'm a busybody, so sitting for me and being mindful isn't the easiest. I'm usually busy and mindful. But that's why I do this laying down before I go to bed too. Notice what your legs are doing. You You can kind of feel the circulation. Think about the heartbeat or the pulse in your, the blood flow through your legs. So straighten your upper body, but don't stiffen. So for me, I like laying down because I often go 100 miles an hour. But if you're sitting and you need to be mindful, or you're at work, you can just think about the blood flow, your heartbeat, sitting up nice and straight, just kind of like you got a rope pulling the top of your head, through your spine, through your tailbone. And then let your spine just kind of have a natural curvature. Don't try to force any special way of sitting. And notice what your arms are doing. And then it wants you to, go on to soften your gaze, drop your chin a little, let your gaze fall gently downward. And you don't actually have to close your eyes. You can just let your eyes relax on something, and then feel your breath. And you can feel the air move through your nose, down to the inside of your throat, and then the rise and fall of your belly or chest. So I often teach this. It's part of the running techniques I teach, to slow your heart rate down if you feel like it's getting too fast, especially when I'm coaching sprints and stuff. And they're having a hard time, or really intense long runs. We can think about the air coming through our nose, feel it along the back, relax the shoulders, and then exhale, feel the air move from your throat and belly out through your mouth. And this is another visual. Notice when your mind wanders from your breath. So don't worry, there's no need to block or eliminate your thinking. Just gently return your thoughts back to your breath. And then again, being kind to your wandering mind. And then I thought I had another slide, but I guess I don't. So there are apps that you can use to, guided meditations. There are YouTube tutorials. Try this at least twice this week and see how this feels to you. Believe it or not, there's a lot of healing that can happen within the gut, that the lining of the stomach that we don't realize. And meditation is one of those huge things, especially if we are dealing with any type of autoimmune, stress, cortisol levels elevated because of that fight or flight, because we're constantly stressed from the minute we hear the alarm go off in the morning till we get the last kid to the last practice in the evening and back in the door. We're go, go, go. So allow these practices of mindfulness to just come and go during the day, and just try them, even if it's just for 3 or 4 minutes. And then your goal is to work up to 20 minutes of mindfulness on a daily basis and have it be part of your regimen. So let me know how it goes.